Today we're going to do our unit review on fractions and decimals. Parents, I know you've been waiting for this, so exciting, but hopefully this will help your child study at home. So, let's get right to it. We're going to first start with the very first part of the unit review sheet. So, parents, if you will, go to the first part, or children, if you will, you'll see it says representing fractions. How do we represent fractions? It says it is easiest to understand how to represent fractions when you relate fractions and decimals using the base 10 blocks that we use in class. This is a base 10 blocks that shows hundredths. And we know hundredths are equal to 1 over 100. This is equal to 1/10, or 0.1. So it would look like this if you have one of these bars. And see, this little one right here is 1 over 100, which you can see right here. This is equal to 1/100th, or decimal 0.1 when fully shaded. So it says here, let's shade to represent 4/10. Well, I can see that 1/10 is 1 bar. We also, in math, we call that a long. So I can see that it's a long. So I'm going to take and shade 4 of these. And I'm just going to put lines going up here. And excuse my perfect drawing. Now, that is shaded to represent 4/10. Yes, you could do it a little more. You can do it a little less. It's fine. Now let's shade to show 37/100ths. Well, this is where it does well to know how to convert it to a decimal. We know that a 3 in the 10th place means 3 longs. And then a 7 in the 100ths place means 7 little blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here is 37/100ths. Now, could I have counted out each one separately? Yes, but that takes a lot of time. So it helps a lot to know that you can use your decimal conversions to help you find a fraction or represent a fraction. Now, let's move on to the next part. Now I'm going to have to get rid of my markings on the screen. And now we're going to look at adding and subtracting decimals. It says the two things that we want to remember when adding and subtracting decimals are 1. Line up the decimals, and 2. Pay attention to your computation sign, which is plus or minus. So here we're going to have to convert these first to a decimal and then subtract. So these are 3 longs, and we know that that is decimal 3. And we're going to subtract 1/10, which is decimal 1. 3 take away 1 we know equals 2, so we're going to add our decimal, and that's going to give us 2/10. Here, this is 1 whole. So we have 1 plus 1. Amazingly, 1 plus 1 still equals 2. And that's all there is to it. Now down here you see it gets a little harder. This is where you really need to line up. So I'm just going to take this number here and put it underneath our nice typed out number. That didn't go quite as well as I'd hoped. Writing with this pen can be a little tricky. Okay, now we have to make sure that we always line up the decimal. So let's look at this. 7 take away 1 is 6. 3 take away 3 is 0. Put our decimal in. Now, we are going to have to regroup here. So I'm going to make that a 14 and take away a 1 from there. So 14 take away 5 is 9, and then 1 take away 1 is 0. So we're going to have 9 and 6/100. Now, once again, we like to teach the children that you can check your subtraction. There's no reason to get a subtraction problem wrong when we can add to check it. And adding is so easy. So 1 plus 6 is 7, 3, 14, and 2. And because this matches that, I know I'm right. So 9 and 6/100 is the answer. Now here, I'm just going to come right over and once again copy that number. 9 and 27/100. And I just like to write the decimal while I'm writing. You can write it at the first if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. So that gives us 13 and 95/100. So you see, there we have added and subtracted decimals. Yay, give yourself a pat on the back. You did it.